You're recognized.
Today, we consider the Deterrent Act, legislation strengthening existing law that requires colleges to publicly report the donations and contracts they receive from foreign countries. The funding of higher education needs increased transparency and accountability on multiple levels. In a 2020 investigation, the Trump administration found that $6.5 billion in previously unreported foreign money went to universities from adversarial countries. The department also stated that $8.4 billion in foreign money was anonymously reported and received in the last decade. Meanwhile, universities in the U.S. hold $807 billion in endowments, while parents and students struggle under the hyperinflationary and exorbitant rising costs of college, and they have $1.6 trillion in student loans outstanding to show for it. The average tuition for 1 year at a public college is now $26,000, while the cost of a year at a private school is now about $56,000. To summarize, colleges are accepting foreign money, and they have huge endowments that they certainly aren't using to help keep tuition and other prices low, and the cost of higher education continues to explode. But meanwhile, the federal government doles out more and more taxpayer money to fund degrees that too often fail to provide an adequate ROI, but those taxpayer dollars do fund lots of non-academic offices and positions, advance a radical leftist agenda on our campuses, and indoctrinate vulnerable young people with an anti-American, anti-free enterprise, anti-traditional values mindset. Education is a battleground for influence over the next generation of Americans, and unfortunately, our foreign adversaries understand this very well. The Deterrent Act lowers the threshold of reporting foreign contributions and requires more transparency for contracts entered into between colleges and foreign governments and entities. All this information would be available on a publicly searchable database so that students and parents can see the financial connections to foreign adversaries at their school. Available data tells a story that aligns with current events. Many of the top donor countries are not aligned with the American values of the respect for life, the rule of law, basic morality, and individual liberty. Let's consider the top donor nation to U.S. colleges, Qatar, who was just mentioned by the previous speaker from the other side, trying to contrast that with China, I might add. Well, the Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy found a correlation between the funding of universities by Qatar and the active presence of groups such as the Students for Justice in Palestine at those universities. We shouldn't be surprised at the offensive anti-Semitic remarks we've seen from students, professors, and administrators when we know that billions of dollars have flowed to these schools from a Qatar government who says that, quote, Israel alone is responsible, end quote, for the attack by Hamas, and Qatar actually provides an office for Hamas in its capital city. International partnerships can be beneficial for universities, but they should not come at the cost of our national security, our intellectual property, our academic freedom, or our traditional American values. I support passage of the Deterrent Act, and I hope this committee will continue to expose and work to diminish, if not eliminate, interference by foreign adversaries on our college campuses. And I yield back.